Welcome to the Live to Lift Up podcast, a storytelling space inspired by the life, lessons, and legacy of Sandy Mohonathan. This podcast was born out of Sandy's philosophy: live to lift up. Each episode is a ripple, sharing stories that honor her life, her wisdom, and her love. Together, we hope that these stories remind each of us how to live a life with more purpose and compassion.
Hi, everyone. My name is Denielle Mohonathan, and I'm Sandy Mohonathan's daughter. And as my co host has shared, we're both extremely excited to have you all here today. And today, we're joined by our guest, the very special, my dad, Claude Mohonathan. Dad, say hi.
Hi, Prenai. Hi, Denielle. I think it's going to be an amazing journey, and we've got a story to tell. And I'm quite eager to share the story. So, yeah, over to you, both pretty ladies.
Thanks, Dad. Um, so, my dear co host and our dear family friend, Prenai and I are really excited to have you here as we shared. So, why Lift Up? It's an acronym. And what it stands for is L, which is unconditional love. I, inspire through kindness. F is for foster, growth and harmony, leaving every place better than before. The T is for together, lived by the philosophy that together we do all lift as we rise. The U stands for universal, because mom lived a universal and global citizen life. She impacted and touched many across the globe. And P is for passion, to live with passion. So, on today's episode, it is truly special because we start with my parents' love story. My brother, Rick Cameron Mohonathan, and I never needed to look far in terms of role models for what a lasting and loving friendship, partnership, and marriage looked like, could be learned from, and that we genuinely feel is exemplary.
And I'm so honored to have Claude join us today, Danielle. Claude is Sandy's husband of 40 years, and he's here today joining us as our first guest because we want to know where it all began. Claude, take us back right to the beginning of your love story and tell us how you both met.
Thank you, Denielle and Prenai. Um, I was at a fun fair, took my parents to the fun fair on the 14th of February, 1982. And while they were shopping, I decided to look at uh, all these young people playing in the water and enjoying the rides. And what caught my eye was a group of girls sitting on this wooden boat where the chain takes you up, and these girls were screaming. So, um, and then when the boat came down and splashed into the water, um, one of the girls threw water at me. Now, just keeping in mind, there were seven girls and I'm the only guy. But back in 1982, it was an interesting phase of my life where I could approach any girl. So I approached them and I said, "Why did you throw water on me?" And they all laughed. And that's when I connected with Sandy. And yeah, and that's when the romance began.
Ooh, juicy. I've actually never heard you use the word where the romance began, Dad. And I've heard the story many times before, while we were growing up from both you and mom, but I always love hearing it over and over again because something new always rears itself, right? But I think a really pertinent question I'd love to find out from you is that, and my apologies if I've asked you this and you've shared it with me before, is that what initially drew you to mom? Like you said, it was an interesting time in your life, and you could approach any woman. But what actually drew you to mom specifically?
I had a lot of friends But there was something about mum, a smile and a laughter. And when your gut feeling tells you, if you want to do something, you rely on your gut feeling. And my gut feeling, my inner self told me is this woman is very interesting. She's very special. Now, I cannot, expand on that. Now, that's 1982. So lucky I don't have Alzheimer's or anything. But yeah, it was just something that, when you know that's somebody special and you want to pursue something that, that maybe it's gonna have a very happy ending. So it was just my gut feeling.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Claude. I'm reminded about, the old adage, love at first sight. And maybe in your case, it's about, really those kindred spirits connecting with yours, and that instant connection. But 4 decades later, right, to 2025, what do you think made your relationship last and grow to this point?
It was about communication. And, we all have our strengths and weaknesses. So, I've got my strengths. Sandy had her strengths. Uh, I've got my weaknesses. She had her weaknesses. So we try to complement our strength and weaknesses. And for me, teaching yoga, I never sweat the small stuff. We had arguments, and Sandy always wanted me to respond to the arguments, and I'll just keep quiet. And she'll get upset, and I'll start smiling. Then she starts smiling, and yeah, no, we just got on with our lives. I think it's we had the ups and downs as normal married couples do, but we just worked out the all the stuff that we needed to. And that's how, we stayed married for 40 years. Happily married, if I may add.
Firstly, congratulations, because 40 is no easy feat, I don't believe, on any front. So, particularly in a marriage, as you've shared, and there's so many lessons to be learned from. Um, the lives that you and mom created together. Um, and then thinking about mom, oh, there, there just there's so many lessons and in what she taught, not just in her words, but how she lived. There was such authenticity in and consistency in the two. There was no separation, right? So for you, if you can, or you may share off the top of your head, what are some of the biggest lessons that mom not only shared but showed you about what a loving life looks like and actually means? And if you can give us examples, that would be even better. But please, we have a wide audience, so please, Dad.
Yeah, interesting question, Daniel. Um, we went highly spiritual, and never like went to the temple or churches frequently, and because of our travels and all that, that also limited us from going to these religious places. But how we lived our lives where is what the holy books teaches all of us. It's about teaches about love, teaches us about kindness, teaches about giving and putting a smile on somebody's face. Um, it's also respecting whatever the title you have, whether you somebody that cleans the garden, makes the tea, is the CEO of a company, and you treat everybody with love and with respect. And I think that, Sandy mastered the art. She touched lives of the 6-year-olds to the 90-year-olds, and she'd been able to fit into their space and come to their level. So she was able to, at whatever your intellectual capabilities, she was able to uh, keep at that level. So I think that's why she's touched so many lives, but just reaching out. And it's a simple thing is sharing a good news story, or wishing somebody happy birthday, or how are you? I think that actually touched people's lives. And I still get messages today, and today is, it's gone over 2 months, messages saying they miss Sandy's messages, the motivations that she sent. So yeah, and that's how Sandy and I lived our lives.
That's great, Claude. And, the piece that you mentioned about connection, it's so true because I really feel like she was able to connect with everyone. And I would often wonder, how does she find the time to connect? Because, her network was so vast. And even though there were so many who she loved and cared about, she made each person feel so special and so unique. And I'm still in awe of that. And I still don't know the secret. Maybe you're going to help tell us what that is um, today. But I'm now interested to understand, right? Life gets hard. Marriage is hard work every single day. And when life tested you both, what kept you steady? And what did you learn from each other about resilience and keeping the faith?
There's a lot of people that have asked us those questions, even when Sandy was alive. It was about, uh, I think with my faith and with yoga and Sandy's positive attitude. He said about don't sweat the small stuff, don't hurt. Your words can be really piercing. So just be careful how you speak. And I think, the love, the kindness, very important is the respect. And I think what also helped is I'm a cool and calm person. Sandy's feisty and, is getting things done like yesterday. So I think that actually helped to balance our relationship, which and I reflect back, this the stuff that we've been through, even going on vacations. It's just we complemented each other, and just being on our own. We enjoyed, even though we enjoyed company, lots of company, people around us, but we enjoyed being together and just chilling and just chatting, and we'll do our morning walks, and then we'll listen to motivational stuff, and we try to apply what we listen to, and also trying and whatever we listen to, she tried to encourage others. I think that actually worked for us, and that's why our marriage lasted for 40 years, knowing her for 43 years.
I love that response. I really do. It's so telling of a balance in one another and respect and understanding of each of yourselves and how you both elevate and lift as you each rise as your own units. Um, growing up, Brett and I always knew that mom and dad operated as a unit. You could never kind of tell the one parent one thing without the other finding out. You always just teamworked it. So thank you for sharing that response, Dad. It's really insightful and helpful to anybody listening, ourselves included, who aren't married yet and take even now the lead from what we teach and share. So thank you. In terms of the joyful aspect of mom, right? She always found a way to laugh. Even through the difficult times, I even know when mom would cry, it was kind of jolting because she was crying, but she had a bit of a smile on her face. And I think coupled with that, it actually shows a natural source of this overflowing joy is that she had this laugh, this booming laugh from you phrase it really well, Dad, from the soul, right? And it is a quality she's kindly passed on to me. Somewhat of a bit of a freaky thing when you hear me laugh. But oh, where do you think that mom drew that strength and joy from? Or how do I even phrase this? The strength and the joy, or the joy and the strength. Where do you think it actually came from? And also considering you both weren't religious or technically spiritually aligned to anything in particular. Where do you think it came from?
Mum and I came from very, very humble beginnings. We've She came from Chatsworth, and I come from Merebank. And when we got married, um, we've decided that whatever we didn't have, we're going to work very hard for the things that we love, that we're going to acquire. And when we start the family, we'll make sure that we'll provide for our kids. So we started to work extremely hard. I worked the long hours. Mom studied, she taught, and then we relocated to Johannesburg, and then that's where our careers grew. And Mom always believed that hard work doesn't kill you. And she both of us motivated ourselves to uh, from where we lived and where we were to what we want to become. And that positive energy started to really bring the best in the both of us, and we helped each other. And you said, you can't just be sad. You need to have energy, to have that positive outlook in life. And with all that came laughter. So, and people go to comedy shows because they're sad and depressed, and even though they hear all the weakest jokes in the show, but you come back and say, "I feel really good," because you had a good laugh, and that's what may inspire. But just sometimes you just laugh, and when you start laughing from the tummy, that's something else. How do you actually motivate yourself to do better? But you inspire yourself, even though you don't have, you look back and say, this is where I come from. Let me inspire myself to lift others up as we rise.
That is so profound. Thank you for sharing that. And just listening to you both, um, it's no surprise that the story began with your love story, Claude, shared with Sandy. Because as Danielle so aptly pointed out, you two were such a strong unit and team. And through those lessons of love and respect and compassion for each other, that just kind of extended to, your next circle of community, the extended family, your friends, and it just amplified things. And it's very clear that, the love that was shared between the two of you was also shared with the world. And that's what I'm hearing today, as we think about that first principle of love. Love each other, but also love extends.
Yeah.
So, Sandy's love, as I mentioned, extended far beyond the two of you. And Claude, how does that love shape the way your family lives today still?
I think the our family and our friends, we traveled a lot, and they and we and always, either family or friends wanted to join us in our travels, uh, because they also wanted to learn. And if and people saw the world through the camera lens of Sandy, and they always, and if we traveled, and if Sandy didn't share any pictures, they'll reach out to her, says, "Why haven't you posted a picture of the place you've been to or what you've eaten?" or where's your next travel? So they were always interested on how we lived our lives and where we're traveling and who we are meeting. So they were very interested. So I think the lives that we led, others were actually drawn to how we lived our lives, and we tried to make it as exciting as possible, because our philosophy in life was live as if you're going to die tomorrow, learn as if you're going to live forever. And that's how, since we married on the 30th of March, 1985, that's how we lived our lives. And, that's how Sandy was meant to leave this earth. Being on vacation in Kazakhstan, uh, and passing away in my arms. So maybe that's how it's written. She passed away loving what she did and what she lived for.
Oh, that is such a beautiful way to look at it, Dad. Um, because love always wins, right? That's another philosophy that stems from your love story together and the lessons and how you chose to intentionally allow that to extend into every facet and every person and every part of life. And when I look at life, it's very difficult for me not to see pieces of mom everywhere. Personally, and I know for many people like yourself and Prenay and so many others that we're incredibly excited to have on this podcast and connect with and share stories with. But truly that those pieces of mom that can be seen everywhere, it's shaped how I view and approach life. You know, in how many reasons can be found to celebrate even what some would term mundane, because life in itself is not mundane. It doesn't need to be, it can be celebrated, and to give gratitude for all of these parts that exist in your life and what's provided for you. Um, and that there is a constant lesson to be sought after and adopted in absolutely everything and everywhere. It's which is why it's so, I suppose, difficult at this stage of the grieving to not see mom in everything. So I think a bit of a selfish question maybe is for you, Dad. What do you see of mom in me and in our family, and then as an extension to this question, in everything else around you?
I think I see Mum in both you and Brett. It's about the hard work. She worked extremely hard. And I think you get that, you and Brett get that from working extremely hard, where, hard work never kills you. In order to be successful, it's not about how much money you make, but in order to be successful in your own right, you need to work hard. And you write out your objectives and achieve your objectives. And that's what, I see between you and Brett. Now, Brett has got a bit of the quiet strength from mum. Well, you might be very, very surprised. But mum also had a quiet strength, even though she was very loud and all over the place. And Daniel, you get the being totally extrovert. You get that from mum. Your laugh, and our mum was very structured in what she did, and you get that from mum as well. It's about the love, the respect, the caring, the both of you, the principle that you live by. You've actually inherited it, and it's ingrained in the both of you.
So true. And I love listening to that. I would add to that, Danielle, that you and mom also both have one of the Clifton strengths, top strengths, which you share, which is woo, winning others over. And yes, it's true. Because I see you and you would like talk to a stranger and help a stranger and just connect with them so instantly as Sandy would have. I'll never forget this one story. We were both on this training course together. And there was like random people that you go into a training workshop with. And the next weekend, I'm talking to her about the course and we're having tea. Claude, you'll remember this story. And she was like, "Oh, yes, I invited her over to come have tea with us." And I was like, "You just met her like 3 days ago and she's coming home." I never said this, but I was like, "Oh, okay, typical. I'll get to meet her as well." But that's the thing about Sandy and you. There was just this way of bringing others into your worlds. And I loved how you said it, Claude, about the camera lens, and we saw life through her camera lens, which is so true. Um, and God, I miss those Facebook updates. I have to tell you, amongst many other things. But yeah, but something that stayed with me, having walked this journey with your family, is the strong sense of faith and of giving back. Like all those reminders that I see in my home, in my cupboard, and not just physical things, but it's also your time. And Claude, I know for you, with the move back to South Africa, life's changed, but what values do you still hold on to today, most particularly because of Sandy?
You know, Prenay is just over 2 months, and we were, soon we were supposed to be relocating from Dubai back to South Africa, and we planned our life for the next 20 years. Maybe not in detail, but it's always nice to have these plans. And Sandy and I never ever talked about, if, either she passes away or I pass away. But I think she wouldn't expect me to get back into that hole, and wither away. She'll want me to carry a legacy, also be the support structure for the people that around me, friends and family. And expect me to enjoy life. It's the same as if I had to, pass away before her. That's what I would have expected of her. So, and just to carry a legacy about, the kindness, loving, helping others, and that's how, she passed away. I said, how can I carry a legacy, and what medium can I use? And that's when I thought about this podcast, and I said, let me share my story, let others share their story on this platform, and let them, others who are really depressed, to be encouraged by uh, what everybody is talking about, Sandy and a legacy. So I think this is what I think she would have expected me to do. So, and that's what I went with my gut feeling, and I said, yeah, let's use this platform, the social media platform. And she was a social media butterfly, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all of that, to share travels and which restaurants we visited. So yeah, using this platform, others can share the story about what lessons Sandy has passed on, and share with others, maybe to encourage others. I said, if 100 people listening to the podcast and we touch the lives of 10, then I've uh, my work, or what Sandy expected me to do, is done.
Now, this is not in the script, so you can but I'd love to know, for you, thinking about Live to Lift Up, what would you tell Sandy about this?
Mm. Phew, Renee. Yeah, as married 40 years, knowing her for 43 years, didn't expect the
What would you tell Danielle? What would you tell mom about this?
as Claude takes a moment. So, great question. And I love a moment like this. You smart woman. I think the rawness of it hits. So thank you, Prenay, for this question. Um, I think mom would say to dad, I'm so proud of you because you did and you are doing what she would want you to keep moving forward. As painful as this is without your son, you still find a way to keep doing your yoga and taking care of yourself and dressing up and going out and spoiling yourself and spending time with people and calling people and living every second of every day in a memory and a legacy that you both created so beautifully together. I think she would say thank you. That you took one of your core strengths, your Clifton strengths in ideation, I think it is, Pranay.
Mhm.
And you actually got it done. You actually got it done. A thought, an idea that is so beautifully rooted in love, the core of what you both stand for and have always stood for. And you've shown up today in your authentic self in pink and a cap put backwards. I mean, only you, Dad. And I think she would say, I am proud of you for doing it your way and for inspiring others because so many are looking at you going, how? That you have joined grief counseling groups and you are the one that is essentially playing therapist to so many people around you, inclusive of the therapists. I mean, really, Dad. And you're doing it with authenticity. And I think mom would be so proud of you. I think she would say thank you because you honor her legacy, not just in this beautiful creation of this podcast and bringing it to life. You are doing it, but in continuing to love and take care of yourself and doing it your way.
Yeah. All right, Pranay. Oh, you threw me a curveball. So, but anyway, yeah, the lives that Sand and I always call her San. And if I'm a bit upset with her, I'll say Sandy. And then if she knows when I'm really upset, I'll say Sunthiravalie. Anyway, yeah, it's we led an amazing life, and I think we blessed. And I mentioned earlier about our strengths and weaknesses, and that's why our marriage worked. Her passing away, left a deep gap. And I said, how do I actually fill that gap? And I said, it's about, I want to share all Sandy's life's lessons, yeah, and how, the kindness, the love, and, the respect, and how you help. So, and I said, let me use this medium of the podcast to share that. And that will also bring me fulfillment. And I would think Sandy will be very, very happy that I'm carrying a legacy and a journey. And this journey doesn't have an end date, or there's no end. It's about people can share the story on this platform, so they can how she encouraged everybody else while she was still alive. We can use this medium to lift others up as we rise. And maybe that's a legacy that we'll continue, and others can also continue their own legacy. But also, it's so important that we share. People that get depressed go to social people, psychologists, psychiatrists. But if we can use this medium to lift others as we all rise, then I think we've achieved. And she'll be very, very happy looking from above.
Sorry to interject, but I'd like to ask you the same question, my co-host. How would you answer your question?
Oh, what would I tell Sandy about this?
Yeah.
I would tell her that this podcast is another act of love and service to honor her, so that we can continue to be reminded of the lessons that she taught us, but also to share those lessons. And, one of the reasons why I went to Claude with the idea about this is I was worried that Yeshai, 6-year-old Yeshai, is not going to get to experience his yaya when he's 15, when he's going through his adolescence, or when he's interviewing for his first job and he needs career advice. Um, and, God willing, I'm around to share that with him, and I will to the best of my ability. But how do I keep her legacy alive for my son, and for others? And, Claude, in a way, what you're doing is so touching and so deeply grounded in love. And I go back to the L in Lifta, because in a way, what I'm hearing is that through your pain, she's lifting you up, right? And you're lifting others up. And it's that amplification effects that I spoke about earlier, which is just so powerful. And maybe that's the power of love. I don't know. I'm listening to that, hearing those song those that song in my head right now. But yes, thank you for that question and allowing me to reflect.
Yeah, sure. I just, and I didn't realize that this would be another layer to how this would play out, but this is actually incredibly healing. The questions and how everybody's responded so far has just been so healing for the soul to share the legacy and the lift up acronym and the memories. And okay, yeah, it's absolutely how to keep one's memory alive in such a wonderful 21st century way. So well done to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Team Lift Up. Okay. I want a happy question now. So here's a happy question that provokes happy thoughts. Claude, this is for you. Tell me a story about Sandy that makes you smile and that just captures who she is. Tell us a story and share it with our guests listening.
Yeah, it was second date, and so we went. Money was tight, so we went to a restaurant and just ordered a starter meal. That's all what we could afford, and then we started to eat. I think Sandy must have been very hungry, but she was eating very little. But I was also hungry, but I'm not a shy person. So, and I ate, I think, just over 3/4 of what was on the plate. And I wasn't finished. Yeah. And then she looked at me, she smiled, and I clearly remember she says, this is first date. And she says, you must have been very hungry. I said, no, I was very hungry, but I'm not hungry anymore. I didn't even ask her, if if she's hungry. But for me, it's what you see is what you get coming from Merebank. So that for me, they're a very very story. We have many stories. Our travels into the US, our travels to the different continents, the caves in India, and all of that. But that really stands out. That was 1982.
That was a great question, P. Just to lift up the energy and the mood, right? So thank you. And Dad, that is hilarious. You are hilarious.
Yeah, they'll say tell it like it is. Yes.
I can just picture mom's mischievous smile and her laugh and just because she always had this naughty look on her face. I mean, you both do. It's up to no good for some things up, right? But just that mischievous laugh and that smile and I think in thinking about markers of mom, right? And that the joyful things is so what's something small, whether it's a song, a smell, a place that instantly reminds you of her and just brings the biggest smile to your face. Anything off the top.
Anything, yeah, in this is gonna be the biggest joke now. But some of our friends that will be listening to podcasts will identify. We got married on the 30th of March, 1985. And so, the tradition, we go to the girl's home, the boy's home, bride's home, bridegroom's home. And thereafter, we booked a honeymoon at the Mid-Madam chalets, because that's all what we could afford. And we had a group. There must have been about, I could be wrong, about 15 that came with us to our honeymoon. And the song that, this a guy that I mentioned on this, Vasu Gaundan, he was the program director for, a celebration of mom's life. He was there, he was one of our, the best men. So he also invited a whole lot of people to come to spend the evening, just before we get into the chalet. And there's a song that played, The Night Shift, and that song will be ever etched in our hearts. And Mum was alive, she'll tell you a story about that song. But everybody asked, but your honeymoon was just supposed to be you and Sandy. Why did you invite this group of friends? I said, that's who we were. You invite, wherever there's a celebration or a party, from the time we got married. So we invited all, and we really partied. And that really stands out. One of the many events in our lives that stood out. So one time, spending a honeymoon with a whole lot of people, friends are really close to us until she passed away. So that was our life, and that's how we lived it.
So true. You guys were always entertaining, always socializing, the circle of friends. There was always this togetherness that extended so beautifully. Now, Sandy loved to talk. She loved to share. Not just share stories, but she shared on social media too. Don't know if there's any Facebook or Instagram wherever she is. Um, as she would listen to this. But Claude, if Sandy could hear this podcast right now as we edit and all of that stuff, what do you think she'd say?
I think she would say, Claude, you've made me the happiest person, because I'm not around anymore, but you're able to carry my legacy and share it with others.
I know she'd be proud. I know. Um, yeah, truly. And I think she'd also tell us, can you all just stop crying and eat some chocolates? Or like do a dance or sing a song, something, like just be joyful and grateful in the memories that I've left all of you with. Now you all go and make it your own. And we are. So
I second the chocolate part, definitely. Definitely. So before we close, the intention is that we ask each of our guests a signature question because the show is about living to lift up. Um, Claude, I want to know from you, who lifted you up and how are you lifting others up today?
My mom was a housewife, but my dad supported, I think, about 10, his siblings, and this my two sisters and three brothers. So it was quite a large family. So it was a huge responsibility on his shoulder. But he made sure there was a roof over our head, provided for our education, and provided food on the table. So he didn't even have a car, he couldn't even drive. But his focus was to make sure that we become successful in our own right. And my mum was always there for us. So my mum and my dad, and then Sandy being my soulmate. Um, yeah, so if it would have been very different if I didn't meet Sandy, but I'm glad I met her. We lived an amazing life together. She's been my soulmate, and yeah, the 40 years of marriage, 43 years of knowing her was just been an amazing journey. And I reflect back. I said maybe it was her time that she work on her is done. I don't know. Nobody's can answer those questions. But yeah, my mom, dad, and my Sandy.
Thank you. Claude, Danielle, thank you for being here today and for sharing all these real, raw stories about our dear Sandy. And I'm reminded that through this, love doesn't end, it evolves and it transcends. And through your stories and you sharing, I really do believe that she's continuing to lift us all. As you said, Danielle, we this show and doing this is uplifting in our spirits. And she's still playing her part and she's still influencing big time from wherever she is. So know that.
Absolutely, absolutely, Pranay. A love like mom's just can only but live on and evolve and extend even in this phase and chapter of her journey, right? And that's because of each of us that are still physically on planet Earth to keep that going. It lives within each of us. I think in The Lion King, um, Mufasa says, it lives on in you. It does. A piece of my legacy lives on in you. So if she's touched you, that keeps going. Um, and like I said, in every person she touched, so it's a lot. And yeah, I said it previously. I'm really looking forward to hosting alongside you, Pranay, many others who mom touched with this bountiful, expansive love that was so genuine that you can help but fall in love with her. And I think that's just compounded by dad, you know, being alongside mom every step of the way. So, it's an extended network and network and network. So it's a beautiful thing to witness, right? But I would like to say to everyone listening and to my co-host Renee and dad, to you today, just thank you for joining us on Live to Lift Up. Um, through each and every one of you and everybody listening, we continue to honor the love, the light, and the legacy of very special and unique Sandy Mohonathan that will always be. So thank you.
Thank you. Just thank you from my side, Neil. Thank you for for what you're doing, your contributions you're making to this podcast, and I think you also got a story to tell. Pranay, thank you for supporting me, and just it's going to be an amazing journey. It's going to be an encouragement to us and to those that around us. I know you've been there when you saw Sandy taking her last breath, so you got a special place in our heart. To the guy behind the scene, this is not possible. To put all this together. Vikash, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. You've just been amazing, and you come to the party.
Thank you. And to our guests listening, we hope that this show has lifted you up. I know that there's been happy moments, some painful moments. That's what love and life is about. And as you move forward with your day, I hope that you continue to carry Sandy's light forward in all that you do. And I leave you with our final closing question of how are you lifting someone else up today? Thank you.